We're welcome back, guys, to Mindcraft. And now I did spell it right. The reason why I call this Mindcraft is so I can talk to you guys kind of about. I used to just talk about random stuff, but now I kind of want to have a reason for doing Minecraft. And my reason is to talk to you guys a little bit about a little bit about philosophy. Not really much about philosophy. I just like to say that it's just my everyday thoughts, pretty much. So this is Mindcraft. It's not a LOL fail. It's Minecraft. It's my version of Minecraft videos. So if this is your first one watching, that's the reason why I title it that way. And I appreciate you checking out my videos. Now, today I'm going to talk about religion. And obviously I come from a very religious background. I was a religious person for a very long time. I was on my way to actually being a pastor because my dad is a pastor, so naturally my dad wanted me to be a pastor, and that's what he wanted me to do. And I thought, it'd be that was pretty much my, that was going to be my path, but I instead went a different path. I mean, well, I was pushed into not pushed, but it wasn't my destiny, pretty much. My soul just wouldn't let me go, wouldn't go to it. Another thing about the soul is a lot of people misconstrue the idea of a soul. The soul is actually something that you don't have right now. You don't have a soul. The concept of a soul is your identity, and you are building your identity right now. It even goes to a molecular level where all the nerve endings in your brain, right now they're working in a way that you pretty much are being through indoctrination, being indoctrinated into the world, which is basically growing up in the world. You're forced to do certain things in your life, and all those, like brushing your teeth, doing normal things, growing up, eating, breathing, all these sorts of things are all parts of you growing up, and they're all natural functions of your brain. And when you were growing up, obviously you didn't have all these functions already good to go, because you had to learn them, and you had to experience the consequences. You had to learn what happens if you don't do certain things, and you learn it nature's sort of way. You learn it from nature, natural way. You learn not to cuss. You learn not to do all these things, and all those commands are response, and they're all little like nuances that happen in your brain, and as your brain develops, that's kind of what. God, man, I need to make way more stoves or something. But as your brain develops, so does your identity. So does the character that you are in this world. And that character ends up being only described as your soul. And, it's the ego. It's all that. It's your identity as a human being. And that identity is pretty much how you are created. Like, that identity that you create during your time here on Earth is what you're known as. It's your lasting impression on everything here. So that to me is my description of the soul. And the soul, since it's like your ego, it's pretty much how how I would describe it, because it's something that you cherish, and then something that your people are sort of like, it's their attachment to the world, and it's very strong. It's very strong and powerful. It can be very powerful attachment to the world. And to me, that's materialism, and materialism goes with the ego. That's how I figure the soul is, because a lot of times when I was in religion, things were defined for me. Like, things were like, okay, it's GFX, God is a guy up in heaven, and he's staring down at you and judging everything that you do in this world, and you better do everything right, or else, there will be consequences if you don't. Now, my identity definitely attached to that idea, and all of a sudden it became a part of my reality. So I was forced to believe that there was this big brother up in the sky, namely God, who was judging and watching and, watching everything that I do, regardless of my decisions or not. So this is like one of the nerve endings I was talking about that gets developed in your brain as one of the nerve responses. Whenever you do something bad, your brain reacts to it in a certain way, like using certain nerves go off like little signals, and those signals stay that way, and they become part of you, and then they shape what you they shape everything. They shape even your responses to anything that's attached to sight, sound, feelings, anything that's it goes down to even like the fact that whenever you like breathe, or whenever you have a crush on a girl, or whenever you're happy or sad, like all these chemical reactions happen, and they're all getting programmed as you grow up and as you live your life, and there's not really anything you can do about it. That's just how life is. And since that happens, like, you're programming your mind. If you're a religious person, you are programming your soul. Your identity is being pushed into this box that is pretty much I want to compare it to artificial intelligence, because you're basically becoming a robot of a person that will work for society, and that can be a good thing, and it also can be a bad thing. To me, it's a bad thing to humanity as a whole, just because there's so much potential that we might be missing out on, because we're basically making bots out of people. And to me, religion basically takes all your thought, all your ideas, all of you all your soul. It basically takes your soul and turns you into a carbon copy of the person next to you that also believes in the same thing, and that also is being programmed. Their brain is being programmed that way. So you two are, you can congregate at church, so that, it's even reinforced when you go to church and everything. You get reinforced, and like I said, like I said in a couple of videos back, when you're talking to people, you're not really talking to the person to actually listen to what they have to say. You're talking to them to reinforce your opinion about life, about what you're seeing happening around you. You're forcing your opinions on them. Your mind structure during communication, all you're doing, you're not really listening to the other person. You're sort of trying to evaluate it with your own life and your own experiences, and then whether you can relate or not, that's when you actually, if you can relate to it, that's when you actually agree. If not, you're not even listening. And I know a lot of people aren't going to be listening to what I'm saying now because the thoughts haven't occurred in their mind. It's kind of like when the Spaniards came to America and they had their ships. The Native Americans could not see their ships. The reason why they could not see their ships is because I heard this on Ancient Aliens, but the reason why they couldn't see the ships is because they couldn't imagine it. And because they couldn't imagine these ships, they didn't know exactly, they didn't know that they were coming. And, the Spaniards came, and the only time that they actually acknowledged that there were Spaniards there is when they actually saw them right in their face and, in physical form as different types of people. They didn't see the ships coming from afar. And it's the same thing. Like, imagine if all of humanity was actually a huge zoo. Like, imagine our Earth was a zoo, and there are all these there are all these alien spaceships floating around, and they are all like observing us, trying to see, how we are living as human beings, how we are interacting with each other, how far along we are developing as creatures. I could definitely see that happening, and we're totally oblivious to it just because we don't know what they look like. And obviously they probably have senses that we don't, and they probably, it's kind of like, if you think about a fish doesn't know that you can go straight upwards. A fish might float straight upwards, but it generally tries to swim up at an angle. I mean, I don't think a fish can realize that it can, it can't tilt its head back and look up, but it, can obviously turn at an angle and try and look up, but it's not the same as us. Like we have all dimensions. Fish live on a two-dimension realm, but if you were to pull that fish out of the water straight up, would it still know what's going on, or would it be freaked out? Obviously it gets freaked out. If you ever change the fish bowl, you know that you have to, well, you don't ever pick a fish straight out of the water like that. You actually you catch them in a net, and then you put them in the bathtub or whatever, and you clean out the tub. You clean out the fish bowl, but you never really pull a fish straight up out of the water. But if you did, the fish would probably freak out. And that's what humans beings. There's like a dimension that there's a sense that we don't have. It's said that I think there's like a theory that there's 11 dimensions. There's not just 4, there's 11 dimensions. And, we can only sense up to the 4th, but we live in all of those dimensions. We just can't understand, or we can't physically see or, experience those dimensions because we just don't know what they are. And I'm sure that if there are some other advanced beings out there who definitely evolved way longer than we have, then they obviously might have either the tools, or they might just be able to sense those other dimensions and there's other wavelengths of life. Now with religion, when you create like I said that because I messed up building this thing. Now I have to cook this cobblestone again. But with religion, it pretty much makes it even more so that you're depending strictly on the rules of this world, of this earth. And then, obviously there's other things that they talk about, like, God, or even the idea of God and the infinite, being, God has all these, he lives in this world that you don't, and it's beyond you. But if you listen and if you look at all the teachings, they all rely on just human experiences. There is nothing in there described that can't be experienced by humans. And, obviously the universe is incredibly vast. And since the universe is so vast, you can't document any sort of truth at all. You can't document truth because it always changes. The present moment always changes. And, anything could happen. There's so many possibilities that absolutely anything can happen. We could all just disappear tomorrow, not be alive. And we wouldn't even know it. We might be, how many times, just think about this. Like, imagine if we were stuck in this infinite loop of existence, and it took like, I don't know how many years, millions and millions of years to get to the point where we are at. Well, imagine if the universe just it loops around, as it's moving, as the universe expands, it's actually expanding and then contracting and coming back into one place, and then all of a sudden we're back at the same place again. It's hard to conceptualize that idea, but the infinite, trying to think about how infinity works. Like, I don't know. I have my own thesis about how the infinite works, but obviously it's just it's just from my own my own experience as a human being, and not being able to grasp everything like I would like to. My idea is that well, the question I have is, how many times have you heard me say this the same exact thing to you? How many times have I told you this? How many times will it take for me, for us to meet in this place? How many times are you gonna have to subscribe to my channel before you all of a sudden learn or understand what I'm saying? Not that I'm saying that anything is true. It's just a concept, just for you guys to think about. So that, that's my answer to religion, is that it's made of the material world. It's a thesis, it's a theory that is made from the material world, and to think that it is the truth, or to want to believe that there is nothing out there except for those limiting things that are written in the Bible, then I think it's very childish. So just to let you guys, just to leave you guys with the last note, or the last, I guess to say, like, I think that I have grown up beyond religion. I've grown past religion. And I got to get more cobblestone. But I'd like to say that I've grown beyond religion, and that I appreciate the teachings that I got from religion. It was definitely necessary for me to go through religion in order to gain the knowledge that I have now. So for that, I appreciate religion for what it is. And if there's anything, I would never have come to this conclusion had I not been a religious person. So I do think, or maybe it was supposed to happen. Maybe I was supposed to be religious, in order to learn the teachings that maybe one of you will. Maybe there's a reason why I had to learn what I had to learn through religion, and maybe there's a real reason I had to say this to you. You never know. Maybe there's a reason why, everything happens. Maybe there's not. And my guess is that there is no rules. There's no limitations. And when people say, like, well, what happened before the Big Bang? Well, what's wrong with nothing happening? What's wrong with there was nothing and then there was something? The longer it takes for us to realize that maybe we just spontaneously came into existence. Maybe we were genetically altered to be a slave species, from like in what they say in Ancient Aliens. They say that there's a guy that made a theory out there that humans were altered beings that were already here on Earth. Like I think it's Homo erectus. Homo erectus had a bigger brain, had more consciousness, had more they seemed to have like more awareness of life. And then maybe if they were like not smarter, but if they had better if they had more awareness to Earth, they don't necessarily have to be technologically smarter, but if they had more awareness to each other, then they would become self-sustained on this Earth, and they would not need to go and use oil and burn stuff and live off trees like we do. Obviously it's easier, but they probably found an equilibrium to their own life, kind of like ants. Like, how do you think ants are going to evolve? They already have a great working system. They're modern animals, and we might be more intelligent, we might have more things, but they're very balanced with the Earth, and we are not balanced. So maybe we are genetically changed, and maybe we were taught things and given tools to expand our minds and everything and to grow, but maybe that wasn't for us. Maybe the aliens did that for their own cause. Imagine coming to another planet and there's some resources there, but you don't have enough manpower to get everything out. I mean, and you don't have enough resources to create machines that will get, the resources that you need from this area. What are you going to do? Well, obviously you're going to go and talk to the people that live there and see if they can get it for you. And, especially if you're very technologically advanced, you can impress them and make them believe that you are someone special and that you are destined to be there. So aliens came down. We wrote stories about those aliens, and those aliens became our gods. That is what's explained in ancient aliens. For me, I think that we came up with those stories out of metaphor. For me, the Bible, when I left the church and when I became a independent thinker, I think that I understood the Bible even more so than I did when I was in the church. I feel like I grew up and I finally matured out of those teachings. I learned what I needed to learn and I left. For instance, heaven and hell. When I was in the religion, when I was a devout Christian, what I would say, I was very scared of hell. Hell was a place that you go to, and it is one of the worst. I mean, the idea, the concept of it is insane. I mean, it is crazy. It is the most. It'll scare the shit out of you. Just the idea of it, just thinking about going to hell because you did something wrong. Well, that was designed that way. After it was misinterpreted, it was designed that way to keep people in fear. Now, for me, I thought once I got out of religion, I was no longer blinded by that fear. I understood what it was. Heaven and hell is a dualistic meaning for the extremities of the states of mind, the states of your mind. Like each end, it's like night and dark. Day and night. It is heaven would be extreme happiness and bliss, and hell would be, death, damnation, depression, all those sorts of things that, that cause you a lot of grief and cause you to break down mentally, physically. And when you're in a very dark place, often bad things happen. All these demons are inhabitants of those, of that state of mind. And what are those demons? Well, for me, I figured out that demons are actually thoughts that have evolved into form. Like there's all sorts of demons. And the demons live on forever because they're concepts. Like say, I'd say a demon could be the idea of greed or guilt, the idea of fear. Those are all demons. I mean, there's no reason. There are some emotions that we get naturally, but for the most part, like stuff like depression, and stuff like, there's all kinds of these little nuances of activities that we live through every day. And I think I'd say anxiety is a demon. Like those, to me, those are demons. Those are what demons represent. They're representative of all the many things that would drive you into hell. And then for heaven, there are things like, happy thoughts, love. Well, not love. Love to me is like water. It's everywhere. It's everything. And and I'm not saying love is in a hippie sort of way. I'm saying love is in a, I just messed up. There we go. I'm talking about love as in something that is ever present, kind of like. And a lot of people want to say that you can give love and you can express love, but for me, love is there and it can just be felt. And you can't really shoot love at anyone. You can't really give love to anyone, unless you're talking about having sex, but I'm talking about like the love that you feel inside, that it makes you happy, that takes you to heaven. To me, that love is everywhere, and it's always there. We just find reasons, like stuff like demons and stuff, keep us away from that. And for me, change demons out with with problems, with mental problems. And angels could be the problems that help you. Obviously, you need angels, you need all these things in your life. And then for me, like the story of Adam and Eve is a story about knowledge. Adam and Eve Adam would be the man, and then Eve would be Adam would be you. No matter if you're a girl or boy, Adam would be you, and then Eve would be your animalistic tendencies. Not saying that it is bad, to be a woman or anything. It has nothing to do with being a woman or a man. I'm just saying that Eve, metaphorically, to me, Eve is your animal instincts, and they're not necessarily bad, but they're not necessarily controlled or anything. They're just you. They're just what you're all about. Now, when I say Adam and Eve, actually, can you? Oh no, it doesn't go through all the night. That would have been awesome if it actually went through the night, and it like burned or cooked all these stones. But Eve gets the devil is wrapped around the tree of knowledge, right? Knowledge being information. Now, knowledge obviously. Oh, I need to go up here. How do I get up there? Actually, you know what? I'll just build from here. Knowledge would be, just information that you get, new information. And there's the devil wrapped around it. And the devil represents intelligence, represents like it's a very seductive thing. Like it's pretty much, it drives you to the information. It's your quest for knowledge is what I would say. Is your quest for knowledge is what the devil would be. And he's a very intelligent, seductive thing. But metaphorically, that's just your natural curiosity. And when you accept, the devil, and then all of a sudden you get exposed to new ideas, you get exposed to new truths about, your experience as a person, as a being, as an identity. And then you start to judge yourself on those things. It's kind of like if you hit like me, I recently hit a tree in a parking lot. Now I have to pay thousands of dollars to get my car fixed. Now that whole thing, could have been avoided had I known, that I need to be more careful while driving around trees. Obviously it's common sense, but apparently I was just rushing around too much. I was unconscious of it. I just figured like, I gotta get out of here. That's all I was thinking about. So I backed out too fast and I hit a tree. Now that I know that information, now that, I hit the tree and I know that information, I'm going to be more careful leaving a parking lot. Well, that to me is Adam after he ate from the apple and got the information. The information that you get from, the apple or whatever, from Adam or from the tree of knowledge, obviously gets embedded into you. It becomes you, just like food becomes you. And since food becomes you, obviously you start to emulate that, and you start to go around talking to people about that. Like I hit a tree, now I have to pay thousands of dollars, and then the other person, obviously you're talking to their being, you're talking to, and maybe they've gone through it, so they'll be like, yeah, I hit a tree, 5 years ago, and my car is all fine now. It was a bitch to get it fixed. Well, all that leads into you becoming possessed by the, your quest for the tree of knowledge, and then all of a sudden you're kicked out, and the, God kicking you out is basically you losing your childhood, losing your innocence. You now know what happens when you hit a tree. So now you can't be innocent anymore. If you hit it again, you're going to meet a demon, and that demon will try and take you to hell. See, I mean, there's so much metaphor, and I hope you guys are following along. It's a lot of information, but for me, that's just one example. After reading the Bible now that I've learned so much from life itself, I've eaten so much from the tree of knowledge that I understand, what the Bible was talking about, and I've interpreted it for myself, and which is one of the teachings, obviously that was in the Bible. A lot of Jesus' teachings are amazing once you actually understand them. But if you're in church, if you are a person who is taking the Bible literal, then you are not getting the actual message from Jesus, and you won't get it until you actually let go of all those things that you've been embedding in your mind. And the longer you keep yourself in a religion, the more your brain develops away from all that, all the possibilities of you breaking down those walls. And I'm lucky that I'm still a young guy, that I can, let things like that. I haven't gone through so many experiences that I wouldn't know about it, that I would get lost and, make it become part of my reality like my dad has. But I definitely appreciate all the teachings that I got from my dad. And I think that has something to do with my dad, obviously going through all those experiences, trying to teach me, and then I rejected it. My body, my soul rejected his teachings, on a very, not rejected his teachings as far as like he's wrong and I'm right. I'm saying that my soul was on a path that is totally separate from my dad. And since my path is totally separate from my dad, my soul did not want any of my dad's teachings to influence my growth into learning who I am going to be in the future. And who knows, maybe I don't have a future. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the last time you'll hear from me. No, but that's not the truth. I'm just saying, like, there's all kinds of possibilities. You never know. Maybe you were supposed to hear this, and this is my last message to everyone in the world. Who knows? I'm not saying that that's gonna happen. I'm being emo. I'm not being emo about it. I'm just saying, like, you never know what's really going on, and you will never know. The only thing you can do is keep yourself in the present moment and accept it for what it is, and then try and evolve your way into life. And if you have desires, that's obviously that's Eve trying to tell you to go out and search for more knowledge and consult with the devil. The devil's definitely a people person. But obviously it's just a metaphor for human behavior. And for me, that's what religion is to me now. It's great teachings. Obviously, they're written long time ago. Maybe they're metaphors from a long time ago that don't apply today. But I do definitely know that they apply to me because I can see them in a way. I can see them in a different way. Before, they were literal teachings to me, and when I let that go, I learned the true message behind all of the teachings. And if you guys, I don't want to talk to you guys anymore about the Bible because I have my own teachings that I think are updated. And but for some of you guys that like what I'm talking about here, I can definitely guide you in the ways that I definitely or that help me deconvert myself. I'm not saying that you should. It's up to you. That's entirely up to you, and you should never let anyone like me. You should just listen to your soul. Listen to yourself. If you want to be a better, if you want to evolve your ideas, go out and evolve them. If you want to go out and be a better Christian, or you want to go out and be a better religious person, and you want to, teach everyone else those sorts of things, that's up to you. That's your path. It's not my path. My path is, and I'm not saying that anyone's path's better than another person's. My path is for me. Obviously not all of you are gonna, it wouldn't surprise me if none of you liked, what I said here, because it's not for you. This teaching was for me. And for me, this is, obviously my channel, and I'm just going to post this up because this is me. And it's part of my soul. It's part of my being, and maybe it might change. I might change in the future. Maybe my soul is, talking to me. Who knows? Like, who knows what's happening? You just have to keep yourself aware. Keep your mind open, and, just take in everything. Don't allow yourself to just sit there in your own, like, don't allow life to get too serious is really what it is. Because if you let life get too serious, then all of a sudden you really start to block yourself in to a very deep corner. And if you don't keep yourself open, you invite the devil. Gets a lot closer, and the demons whisper a lot louder. And like I said, they're only metaphors. They're not actual demons and actual devils. They're just metaphors and feelings and thoughts. So that was my breakdown of religion. That was my learning. That was my teaching from religion altogether. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and keep yourself in the now. Peace out.
God damn, girl, you got a fat ass.